Your business will bring you gain. If you believe it, say amen. 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 Amen.
Welcome back to Sunrise. And now we're talking about what he talked about before we went on break. When something shocks you.
When culture fights back. Come on. It's on your script.
No, it's shocking. When he fights back, is it not a shock? So we have when culture fights back. And what do we mean about that? You're about to find that out in a bit on the program. Patriarchal privileges are the social and institutional advantages men historically have had in patriarchal societies. Why is that word so difficult?
Well, because it is a difficult word. It's even a difficult conversation to have in the first place.
Leading to greater power, control, and status in areas like politics, economics, and family life. Examples include greater access to positions of leadership, the accumulation of wealth, and the ability to exert control over women's bodies and reproductive rights. However, these privileges often come with a cost for men who are also harmed by patriarchal norms that pressure them to be stoic, suppress emotions, and take on more risky behaviors. Men don't cry is what they say. I don't believe that. So our guest today...
Even if men don't cry, men should cry.
Men should cry.
So let's have, because people even need to understand that why it's a trap.
Yeah, it's a social and emotional trap.
Why it is a trap, why men don't cry, why it seems like the society is always depending on people and all of those things. We'll find out more on that. Who is our guest, by the way?
Our guest is a certified family systems engineer and family coach, love and life experience architect, and a whole gamut of things that we can't just start explaining. Digi Showme, he joins us in-house. Thank you so much for coming back to talk about all these things.
So, first of all, let's help us understand this. First of all, when the term "when culture bites back" comes out, what does it sound like to you?
First of all, I'll have to look at what culture is before we get to why it's biting back. Culture is the behavior of a people over a period of time. Culture is simpler than people think. So because it's over a period of time, it has the ability to be progressive, or if you allow it, to stagnate and eventually become regressive. But because it's over a period of time, that means that at every period that we think there is an advancement, we need to sit together, look at the culture. Is it helping us or is it harming us? Which will now lead to the formation of cultures that will support us better per time, rather than sticking to what we have over a long period of time. Now, when we now say it's biting back, this is that we are at a point whereby it is harming us, but because it's giving privilege to probably a particular demographic, we are not trying at all to review it. We are just going to stay married to it. But it is because we're not thinking about it to a deep extent. That is why it has the ability to bite back. So when they say culture is biting back, it just means that we are not checking ourselves and we are probably not progressive. That's what it speaks to me.
Okay. Is that to say that the first culture that is biting back crept up on us, or we practically lived ourselves into it?
It did not creep up on us. We just did not bother to check it. It was handed to our father, grandfather, great-grandfather, and so on and so forth, who continue to hand it downwards to their own children till we have it today. So today, we are at this level of intelligence, of progress, of development, but we are still administering a culture this low that is harming the progress that we've made. Let's take the holy books, for example. Both the Bible and the Quran are recordings of culture that have happened between 2000 to 1600 years ago. If you want to apply what's in there word for word today, not the religious or faith tenets, because it's also a recording of the culture of those people in the Middle East. If you want to attach that today, then you and I should not be wearing these pants and shirts. We should all be in gowns. We should all have hooded gowns, because the dresses were for sandstorms when they came, and the men wore gowns because they were shepherds, they did manual labor. The linen kept them cool in that heat. And when a sandstorm broke, they didn't have technology then, they just call up under a tent or wherever they can find themselves to where it is. That is the reality of how it's happening in our present life today.
Okay, so how do you think, how do some cultural, expectations that seem like privileges, how do they end up limiting men emotionally, mentally?
Okay. Today, when you look at it, men fill up the boardrooms, they fill up the law, they fill up even the family meetings. They just seem to have a space reserved for them. It has nothing to do with merit. That lady over there is more brilliant and stuff, but no. People respect a man, so put a man in there, a figure that we can respect. And it starts very, very early. Let's take a little boy, for example. That's how early it starts. He has to be strong. Strength is a particular value we worship in our culture. Strength is very, very important to the human in these parts of the world. Okay. So, he must not cry. He just hit his leg on the concrete, on the pavement where he was playing football, but he must not cry. So like that, we've done a surgery to cut his heart from his mouth. He cannot voice the words, I am hurt. We take away emotion from him. Then this boy grows up. That 25 years, he's married. He's dealing with a lot of pressures, financial, emotional, social pressure, a lot of pressures in his life. He's married. Then he's internalizing everything. He can't complain. Yeah. Then he hits the wall. Or worst case scenario, he hits his wife. We have nursed him to have only one emotion, which is rage, anger. It's like a pressure cooker. When that thing starts to, the pressure needs to be let out. If you don't let it out, it explodes. That is the only emotion we live with him. So the family that he has said he wants to protect, he wants to guide, he wants to provide for, he ends up violating this family through his anger. That works against him because they will avoid him, they will loathe him, they will resent him. With force must come resistance. That's one of the ways. That's an example of how it works out.
So does that make the man vulnerable? I ask that in the light of, the impact of his person and this dominance on his family. You won't be able to have genuine connections, really.
Of course, he has no connections with his family.
Oh, wow.
He can't. Okay. That leads me to another example. He is the sole provider. He is the breadwinner. Now, to be the sole provider, to be the breadwinner, all you've been told is that you are the head and you have to provide. All his value is attached to what? Provision and being the head. That means that if his wife is successful, his wife becomes what? A rival to his position as the head.
And then resentment.
And resentment sets in. So he goes about it the only way he knows. Incapacitator. let her do small business, or let her do nothing so that she can rely on me. Then he goes out there, he bears all that weight, that financial weight, because even homes of two parents today taking care of children, they can't afford their life. But he takes that on. At times he has to steal. At times he has to kill. That is himself. His blood pressure increases, all that goes all right. Then something that happens to him. He gets ill, or he loses his job. First of all, that family is crippled because the wife is not equipped enough to carry that responsibility. You chose a partner, then you incapacitated them. The children are able to live the kind of life they want to live because the person that was affording it died or lost their job. They still end up resenting him because he was not available. There was no presence. He was always away. When he is having his pain, because it is pain, there's nobody to hug or console him because he never put himself in that position. That is a weakness. He can't say, I need help. He can't say, let us. He can't do that. It's only a woman you support that can carry the weight with you. But because of control, he did that. He kills himself. High blood pressure, stealing, jail, a lot of things can happen to him. He's killed himself.
I'm a little... So the culture is what we have had.
Yeah.
How is the culture now biting back?
Those are the ways in which it bites back.
It's attacking
the very people that it was supposed to give advantage to.
Okay, now, how do we reverse that trend? Because the reality, I'm sure you can validate it, this particularly in urban Nigeria, in urban communities all over the world, that those days of one breadwinner, those days are over.
Yeah.
And so it is now breadwinner and butter winner. Someone brings the bread, someone brings the butter, or something like that.
Together.
Now, so there is always that now.
In addition to that,
that's a fantastic analogy.
Yes. In addition to that, in reversing that, nowadays we see people, referring to children, maybe you're the first son of a family, but you're just a little boy of maybe 5 or 6, and they start to refer to him as Oluriebi already. So the weight is already...
He has no skills on leadership.
No, it's just innocent.
It's just
referring to him,
and he has to be.
And they're telling him he's Oluriebi, and then
it's not enough to say Oluriebi. You didn't finish it. Baba Bukata. In other words, he's the one that carries the weight of the world.
Yeah, they're already inferring it. So he grows up with that in his mind. I just want you to add that to whatever you're going to ask.
From that particular standpoint, like you said, it shows up a lot in marriage, whereby he is married to a fantastic and well-groomed woman who probably has achieved more than him. But because he doesn't see her as a partner, he can't handle her. That's why today a lot of women who prefer to leave their marriages and achieve a life for themselves than staying there and be narrowed. So he carries all this weight. Because he has told he has to be strong and silent, he can't even speak out to his wife. I know some men that because business was bad and they didn't make money this month, they removed themselves from intimacy and sex. That they don't deserve it. In fact, at times you hear some women mirror this particular line of thought. Do you think you're a man? You don't make money and you want to make love to your wife? You don't deserve that. And some men believe they don't deserve that because all their values is attached to provision of money.
Can we squeeze that woman's neck? Just so that she can understand how painful that is.
Yeah.
No, but he first started saying that some men also ascribe that to themselves.
And the thing is that the women didn't start saying it. They learnt it from what the culture has been saying. That is when the culture bites back.
Yeah.
They would believe it too. Some people are trying to explain themselves and the woman ups and goes. why is he behaving like a woman? Why is he talking so much? He's not talking so much, he's expressing himself.
Yeah.
But you started it first by having a superiority complex and making women seem inferior and turning the word woman into an insult. Why are you behaving like a woman? Which normally translates to, why are you being weak? Why are you talking too much? Why are you emotional?
Okay, so how then do you think families and communities can help men build back that connection?
It's a change of culture. We are never married to culture, we just don't know. Culture is the behavior of a people per time. This is a time. Studies about premarital, studies about family living, studies about family management, studies about partner or spousal management and partnership will help a lot to do that. And the problem of culture is that it is patterns that have been set over a period of time, over generations. So the sons have learned this pattern and will leave it out and transfer it to their own children too. The daughters have seen this pattern, are familiar with it. So when it happens to them in the future, they are not going to resist it. That's what happened to my mother. So we have to take a stand today and introduce family studies into our curriculums in school, because the home alone is not able to correct it. A man who is 50 years old today, who has grown up in this culture, will take a long time to have a system resettled in a way that works. And the painful part is that the family is the foundation of society, nations, and the whole world. Once it is affected, your society, your nation, your world is affected. That is the painful part there.
But then, you've talked about an old generation that grew up with this culture.
Yeah.
Right now, we have another generation of men and women who have recognized that one purse cannot feed the family sufficiently anymore. That recognition cannot be denied. Now, we're also building into a future where women are now the breadwinners. It is a reality in some environments, you know. And whether we like it or not, those cultural barriers are broken down, at least in urban centers all over the world, except in rural, particularly in Africa, where those things might still be strong. So what are your thoughts on that?
Okay, I'm not speaking, when I'm speaking, I stay in Nigeria, in Africa. I stay in Lagos State. I grew up in Abeokuta and in Kaduna. I'm not speaking about Europe. Their system was always different, and they grew out of the patriarchal systems earlier than we have, and they still complain about the patriarchal movement, even abroad. Here, we are walking opposites. We have the education, we have the know-how, we've all had trainings at work, we have the knowledge, we know what is possible, but we will do it no, because we now feel that this advantage is too good to lose. But is the advantage helping you at the end of the day? What we are going to have, what we are having today, if you don't realize it, is tyrants who are head of empty castles. Because the children are going to bond with the mother who played with them, who studied with them, who were around them. Not with you. That's why our men will grow up lonely. And it is a double tragedy, because there will still be no one to now rest on. In the time you need companionship, you need company. It is a terrible tragedy. It's a catch-22. Because we will continue to say this is the right thing, and we still will not do it.
Okay.
We still won't.
I thought Joke had a list of questions.
She probably does. She's a woman in this particular system.
Yeah,
No,
but it does affect the woman.
It does affect the woman, because apart from changing tables, which I've in a lot of circles I've been in, people have had that discussion that the tables are turning, And I think it's because at this point in time, I think even men are starting to realize that they can't do everything by themselves, that they've probably been lied to from the beginning, that you should take responsibility for everything. You should. Even when you are getting married, they say, do all those things and all that. And they load that responsibility on the man. But I think at the end of the day, you sit down with your wife and say, okay, discuss finances. Even, when you're going for all those counseling in church, they tell you, discuss finance. They say, discuss your finances, there's no what's on board, what's going on, what each person can do, how do you contribute to the family? Because I think people are starting to realize that the burden should not be placed on the men alone, and things are changing. You talked about the future. So what do you foresee in about 10, 15, 20 years from now? How do you see
Before I go into that, there are two important things that you just said.
Yeah.
You talked about going home and sitting down with your wives. And that is the first thing I'm going to tell you. Marriage is a partnership where two people, male and female, come together, because male and female is completeness, and raise a family. You have to be responsible to know how many children you can raise before you start to raise them. Everything in the home is like an office. These are the things we need to do. How do we do them? It requires a system of transparency and of trust. Now, secondly, you said when they go to church for marital counseling, the thing is, we have ascribed marital counseling to the church. It is not only the church. What they do there is support. You should seek professional marital counseling. A lot of people do that. Now, we are still in a world whereby we believe that seeking help is a weakness.
Yeah.
You need to overcome that mindset, or else in 10, 15 years, what we have now is what we will still have. Some men, I'm proud of those men, seek intentional education and actually believe that their spouse is an equal, because they know that the best kind of life is not one that is controlled or you own someone, but free will, acceptance, respect, and understanding. A woman who you treat very well, a partner who you treat very well, let me be general, not gender specific, will reiterate and treat you well. And your children are learning how to behave in their own homes at that point in time. But there is no deliberate effort still. Because we still believe that those things are advantages.
Is that indicative of a personal responsibility of the man or the family? Because isn't it possible for a man not to even know that these weaknesses are obvious and so consequently should be something that his wife would be helping?
Because of what you said, that is why I think it has to be a government initiative to make sure that everybody knows their responsibility to being in a marriage and being in a family. Marriage is not the only way to create a family. People start families without getting married. That's not a problem. But if it's in our education, from the KS1 times, that is primary 1, or the nursery schools, bit by bit, what they need to know about marriage, then it becomes something that they have to do, to know. We go through education for 16 to 22 years, depending on the qualification of your degree that you get from where you are. And we are going to spend 2 to 3 weeks on marital knowledge. That just shows you what happens. We are in a society whereby unless the government says you must, we don't.
Well, again, it's one of those
personal responsibility is not a
that
thing
are endless and unwinding, because look at what is happening all over the world. Look at what is happening in even in our country, because it's a global village now.
It is.
We can't really restrict anything to anything now, because what you do in your culture, you are likely to take elsewhere. And what is coming from elsewhere, you are likely to adopt without even understanding.
Checking it.
Which has affected us significantly.
A lot.
In our time. Thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Dejishomi. And we wish you all the best. And thank you for always coming around and every time.
Anytime.
We call. Yeah.